Please welcome Coach Williams to the stage.
Thank you. You guys ate all your dessert and you needed to stretch. I understand that.
Coach, I've got a couple of questions here, but certainly want you to talk about anything you want to talk about. So I'll give you these, but go in any direction you want to go.
All right. First of all, thanks everybody for being here. Hope I don't bore you to death and things will go well and we get out of here without me talking too long. Emily, I'd caught you right at the wrong time. She just took a big bite of dessert. Jenny, you can kid her tomorrow. Before you leave, I want that. I'm big on sayings, big on thoughts, and I'd love to have that. Yesterday, I was fortunate enough to speak to the USA team in the President's Cup, and I gave them one yesterday morning that I really like. It's you can measure the speed of a thoroughbred with a watch, okay, but it takes a race to have the heart. And that's what it was for those guys, because they did the first part to get there to be on the team. And now you got to play your rear end off for 4 straight days. So I'm big on those. So I'd like to have that. And Jenny, this is a neat deal. And sometimes we as coaches keep things personal and don't tell everything like all the time. Jenny came to my office several years ago. She had called and said she wanted to talk. And I said, good, come on over. And the gist of it, and I don't mind you disagreeing, we're getting so close, but we can't get over the hump. I think you'd been to 4 Final Fours. Am I close? She said, we haven't won one yet. What do I need to do to change? And I said, nothing. Just keep doing what you're doing, and one of these days you'll knock that door down. And when you knock that door down, you'll knock it down more than once, because I want you to believe in what you're doing, believe in how you're doing it, and keep doing the same thing. It took a few times for me. It took a few times for Coach Dean Smith, all right? But since then, sports fans, God almighty, girl, you're really good. Congratulations to you and your club. That was fantastic.
Coach, as I said in the introduction, it's been 18 months since you announced your retirement. You've obviously spent a huge amount of that time being a Carolina fan. What's that been like for you?
Very much opposite ends. When we're not playing well, I'm over there and I'm just dying. You know, I can't yell at a referee or kick a chair or try to pick up a trash can and throw it against the wall or anything in the locker room. But I really did, and I think the guys know this. I had so much confidence in Coach Davis. I had so much confidence in these guys here. In fact, one quick story, I hope I'll make it quick. 2 very good donors. After the tournament at Mohegan Sun, the Hall of Fame, we lose a very good game against Purdue, and we played okay, could have won it, and we didn't play well against Tennessee. And they asked me, said, what do you think? And it's all negative feelings. I said, hey, guys, don't worry. At the end of the year, we'll be 1st, 2nd, and possibly 3rd in the league, and we'll make a run in the NCAA tournament. They looked at me like I was a freaking idiot, okay? And I said, I'm serious. And they said, really? I said, I have been in a few gyms. I have seen a few games. We have all the missing parts. We have all the parts that you need to go. Hubert is tough enough and stubborn enough. He's not going to give in. And the players are smart enough to change the little things they need to change. And we'll be there. And so those 2 very good donors, again, looked at me like I was crazy, but didn't say anything. So we leave the Hall of Fame, Mohegan Sun, in New Orleans. They're sitting right there close to me in New Orleans. 1 play, 1 shot, 1 trip, whatever, we would have won the game. And afterwards, these guys told me that they didn't really believe me, but they wanted to have a little confidence in me. So they went downstairs at the book at the Mohegan Sun and bet $200 on North Carolina winning a national championship. And you know what I told them? I said, no wonder y'all were more animated tonight. If we had got one of those plays changed, those guys would have won $19,000 for a $200 bet. So I accused them of just getting up there and getting animated because of that. But, you know, for me, a fan, only 2 times this year did I lose my place. One was at the Mohegan Sun. I jumped up. I'm sitting on the court on the front row across from the benches, and I jumped up and yelled at Armando. So what is new, huh? I jumped up and yelled at Mondo about sprinting back, and then I realized what I was doing because I'd gone about 4 feet out on the court. And I sat back down, crossed my legs, and went like this. And the other time, who else am I going to yell at? Caleb and RJ. Home game, you took the shot. RJ was out there. Neither one of you got back for defensive balance. And it might have been Louisville or Pittsburgh. I forget who it was. And I jumped up and said, "You know better than that." And then realized what I was doing. So I sat back down again and shut up. But other than that, I felt very embarrassed that I'd done that. But I loved it. Loved it. I saw these guys go through the conditioning program. Some of them put up with me for a year or 2 or 3. I saw them get better every practice. I saw them working harder, working together, maturing. I loved watching this team play.
Coach, I got one other question about a memory from the past year. I'm sure I'm not the only one who has found this. There's I think it's about an 8-minute YouTube video of the last 8 minutes of the Duke game in the Final Four. And I think I've seen it at least 10 times, and I may go watch it again tonight. I got many favorite moments from that YouTube video. But my absolute favorite, Coach, is your reaction in those last few seconds when we finally know we're going to win. And I forget who told me, but somebody told me that there was a former player, you were jumping up on your chair, and a former player had to hold the chair to keep from you falling over. What did that moment mean to you?
You know, in every game, in our sport anyway, in basketball, there comes a point that somebody's going to give in. And I always talk to our teams about let's not let that be us. And so before the Duke game at Duke, I knew we were going to win the game. I just flat out knew we were going to win it. I stood up in the locker room at Forest Creek Country Club and said, "You should never bet on college basketball. You should never bet on college sports because it's 18, 19, 20, 20-year-olds. Don't ever bet on that. But if you're going to bet, do it tonight." There's about 30 guys in the locker room at the golf shop. And I said, because we're 11-point underdogs and we're going to beat their butts. So I felt great about that one. I felt great about the one in the Final Four. That moment when I knew we had won the game, I was standing up on the chair. And they're the ones, you know, that go in and out. So it was a neat deal for me because Wanda, raise your hand, hon. Wanda's holding on to my belt on this side, and Antoine Jameson's holding my belt behind me. I thought, my bride's holding on and Antoine's holding on. I'm good, boys.
All right, Coach, one more last year memory question. I'm asking this for a specific reason. You told the story of mentoring Jenny Levy, but I've heard so many other coaches tell similar stories of you giving them your time, your advice, your thoughts, your encouragement, and just being there for them. So tell us about watching not only Jenny's national championship this year, but Courtney going to the Sweet 16 for the first time in a number of years, and then Scott Forbes in the baseball program pulling a men's basketball and coming on so strong at the end of the year to get to that super regional.
Well, you know, and Bubba talked about it. University of North Carolina, I believe everybody in here, if we cut you, you're going to bleed red. But if there's anybody in history that's going to bleed blue, I think it's going to be me. Because nobody can love this place like I love this place. And that will always be. But when Bubba first came here, I said, "Bubba, how many coaches have you worked with that have won national championships?" I did. I said, "I coached at Kansas for 15 years, and we had great coaches and some great teams. We went to bowl games while I was there. We went to the College World Series. We went to the Final Four. Not a single coach that I ever worked with that won a national championship. Here at the University of North Carolina, that number got up to 9. 9 coaches won national championships that was on this coaching staff during my time here. So the quality of the coaches is off the charts. The reason they're off the charts is because they love what they're doing. They love the student athletes. They love their sport. And every day when they get up, what can I do today to help make University of North Carolina better and my particular team? And before they go to bed at night, that's the last thought they have. And I was fortunate enough to do that for 18 years. And it can't get any better than that. So I love supporting our coaches. I love supporting our student athletes. I can get excited and do get excited about hearing any results whatsoever. When Anson Dorrance, when his girls play, I'm excited about it. Anson Dorrance is the single most effective, best coach I've ever worked with, ever seen in my entire life. And I worked with the guy, we named a building after him. But Anson Dorrance, Jenny Levy, Carlos, you go on down the line, that our kids are being coached by people who care. The donors, you're trying to help the coaches be successful. So we have what we need, and we need to get lucky at times. So to me, it's everybody. But every day you have a chance to give somebody an opinion. Every student athlete in here, somebody's going to form an opinion of you every single day. There was a great baseball player 100 million years ago, even older than me, named Joe DiMaggio. Joe DiMaggio hit a pop-up, and he ran like crazy, sprinting down the first baseline. And at that time, he had already won the Triple Crown. He had had the longest hitting streak in the history of Major League Baseball. And one of the writers said, Joe, for everything you've done, and nobody in here probably even remembers the name Joe DiMaggio, none of our student athletes. They said, well, after everything you've done, why do you still sprint down the first baseline when you hit a pop-up? He said, because today may be the first time someone has saw me play. So every day that you compete on the court, on the field, wherever, in the gymnastics, on the mat, everything, it could be somebody's first opinion. And that sort of drove me a little bit because I never wanted anybody to say that I didn't work hard enough. They could say I wasn't tall enough, wasn't good looking enough, or whatever. But nobody could ever frickin' say that I didn't work hard enough. And so every one of the athletes, somebody's going to form an opinion about you today. So make sure that you make it a good opinion that you give them. And then lastly, and I'll shut up so we can get out of here. I love this place. You love this place. It can only get better the more you give. The student athletes, I'm talking about sweat now, money later. Okay, it's an easy deal. The donors, don't sweat too much now. We want you to hang around a long time because you're doing a nice job giving us money. Okay? But understand that this is the greatest place. I ran into a student athlete today that didn't come here. And I told him, I said, you know, down deep, you wish you had come here. And he looked at me and just nodded. You did come here. So play your buns off every day and respect every day that you have, that you represent yourself, your family, and the University of North Carolina in every way you do things. And understand there's an old gray-haired man and a young gray-haired lady that are going to be cheering our butts off for you every single time you step out there, and be proud of you. And so make sure that you give us everything you have. The donors, thank you very much.